midday. Welcome to the 12 o'clock report with me, Karen Doduwenchi
and Jema Apia.
In the next 60 minutes, we bring you our top stories, special report, African stories, business, sports, and entertainment. Coming up, Criminal High Court 2 in Accra gives green light to Attorney General to file witness statements and other disclosures necessary in the Saglemi Affordable Housing Project case, including involving the Republic versus former ministers of state and others. We'll bring you live updates on this case as well as others from court.
Also in this bulletin.
From tomorrow, 26th October, all health service workers union members will lay down their tools.
Health Services Workers Union declares nationwide strike effective Tuesday over poor working conditions.
And in business,
Concerned Drivers Association says it will increase lorry fares by 30% should government fail to stabilize fuel prices.
The 12 o'clock report is also live on our sister station, Asaase Radio in Kumasi, 123 FM in Tamale, on our affiliate, Stone City Radio in Ho, Mine City Radio in Takwa, Boku FM in Boku, and across the globe on Facebook at Asaase Radio 995. Now to our top story, and the Criminal High Court 2 in Accra has given the green light to the Attorney General to file witness statements and other disclosures necessary in the Saglemi Affordable Housing Project case involving the Republic versus former Works and Housing Minister Collins Dauda and 4 others. All 5 accused persons have pleaded not guilty to all charges preferred against them by the state. Now the accused, Collins Dauda, Kwekwajima Mensah, Alhaji Ziblim Yakubu, Andrew Kokanas and Novitete Angelo have together been charged with 52 counts for various roles they played in what the Attorney General of the Republic says has resulted in financial loss to the state to the tune of $200 million. Head of Legal and Political Desk here at Asaase Radio, Wilberforce Asare, was in court and joins us in studio. So, Wilberforce, first, give us a little background to this case.
All right, so this is a case that was first arraigned on the 4th of August 2021. It was during the vacation, and so a vacation judge, Justice Comfort Tiasiame, sat on this case and took the plea of the accused persons. Indeed, all 5 of them pleaded not guilty to the charges that have been preferred against them by the state. Now, last 13th of October, the case was called again, this time before the substantive judge, Justice Elfrida Deche. But she says that she didn't have the warrant of the Chief Justice to hear the matter, and so adjourned same to today. Today, she had the warrant, and so she began the process. She didn't take their plea again because the plea had been taken by the judge who sat during the legal vacation. So this time round, she went ahead to give instructions, and the instructions she gave was based on an oral application by the Chief State Attorney, Evelyn Kilson, who asked that they need 6 weeks to be able to file their witness statements and other full disclosure documents that they have to file. The court agreed with them and gave them that 6 weeks. Now, Indeed, they are supposed to file these on the 22nd of November, which is 6 weeks from now. And the defense team also will have 1 month to peruse the documents so that they can come back to court on the 22nd of December for purposes of continuing with the case, particularly with the CMC, which is the Case Management Conference.
We understand the lawyers for the accused also applied for bail. Were they granted?
You mean in the Saglami case?
Exactly.
No, so the bail had already been granted by the judge who sat during the legal vacation, and so there was no need for that process again before the substantive judge, because another court, which is also a high court which was sitting, had already granted bail, and the same applies to the case that was called today.
Before this, beyond this case, you've also been following the case involving the pastor, that's Jesus Anhofe, who is at the center of Shatawale's fake shooting incidents. What happened in court on that case?
All right, so he was in court today, and we know that on the 21st of October, when he appeared, his lawyers applied for bail for him, he was refused bail and remanded into police custody. However, today, his lawyers repeated the bail application and he was granted bail in the sum of 100,000 Ghana cedis with 3 sureties. And the condition attached to the sureties is that they must be people who are gainfully employed. And he's been asked to come back to court on the 29th of October for the case to take its natural course.
When you say gainfully employed, why are you laughing, Wilberforce?
Well, I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things that some Supreme Court judges are even complaining about. Justice Yoni Kolende is quoted to have said that he doesn't understand why they will give such bail conditions. For example, 100,000, 3 sureties, 2 of which must be gainfully employed or serving in the public service. He says that it is not in the law. Anyway. This one, I don't know where it's coming from, but the judge says that the people must be gainfully employed. And
finally, before you go, we understand Ekweapin Polo also appeared in court. What happened with her case?
Well, so indeed, Ekweapin Polo is challenging the 90-day sentence that was handed to her some time ago. You know, she served just a little bit of it and she was granted bail. She's appealing that decision essentially to get the High Court to quash her conviction. Okay. And so the court heard the case today and has adjourned to the 1st of December to deliver its ruling as far as her application for that review is concerned. So Ekweapin Polo was in court, active and smiling.
Okay, thank you very much, Wilberforce, for that update from the courts today.
Now, the Health Services Workers Union has declared a nationwide strike from tomorrow, the 26th of October, over delayed negotiations for conditions of service of its members. Addressing the press in Cape Coast, the Regional Industrial Relations Officer, John Koneb, indicated the governments over the past years have turned deaf ears to their plea for collective agreement. He said members are outraged and fed up with what they call unfair treatment.
The Health Service Workers Union of Central Region is serving the government a notice that henceforth, from tomorrow, 26th October 2021, all Health Service Workers Union members will lay down their tools. The union wishes to state that it is not our wish to cause industrial disharmony and disrupt smooth delivery of the health services. Thank you. But the continuous disregard by the government team to heed to our simple request has pushed us to the wall. We entreat members to stay resolute, fearless, focused, and united to fight until the union demands are met.
You had the Regional Industrial Relations Officer of the Health Services Workers Union, John Konebe. Now, let's speak to Eric Asante, Central Regional Correspondent. He was at the press conference. Eric, what more can you report from the event today?
So, Karen, they have declared a nationwide strike, like you indicated, beginning from tomorrow. Let me walk by listeners a chronology of events leading to their strike action tomorrow. So, when you talk about the health workers services, we are talking about the HR in the various health facilities. Those are the records department, the cooks, apart from nurses, doctors, and pharmacists. Anybody that you see in any health facility falls under this category. They believe that agreement began on the 15th or on 2015 or in 2015, but it wasn't conclusive. It was rescheduled to 2017. It also wasn't conclusive. And 2019, they believe that the government is doing a deliberate thing to, as it were, drag its feet so it doesn't implement what their needs are. They say, on the contrary, negotiations with other sister unions like nurses, doctors, and pharmacists have been concluded and it's been implemented, something that they feel doesn't augur well for harmonious society since they are all in the health and workers' bracket. They however feel they are being discriminated upon. Because of their frustration, they say they cannot keep their members at the reason for their intended strike tomorrow.
Did they say how this will affect the services they render at the hospitals?
So they said they should have begun the strike, I think, last week. Last week they worked to, that was the words that you said they worked to, by working to, if they are supposed to work for 5 hours, yes, you go and work for 2 hours. They say that yes, it's going to affect people who come for health care, then various hospitals, but they have no option than to go on with their intended strike tomorrow.
And what would take them to return to the hospitals if they go on the strike or beginning tomorrow?
Well, they say everything lies in the bosom of the government to, as it were, implement their negotiation. They believe that, yes, back and forth with the government, always they will tell them to go back. They go back in the name of getting back as quickly as possible to them as far as their negotiations and their, as it were, whatever it is concerned. But this time around, they feel that until the government sits down with them and gives them the roadmap, they are going to stay home.
Eric Asante is the Central Regional Correspondent.
Now, back here in Accra, hundreds of Ghanaian youth have queued at the Awak Sports Stadium with their qualifications, hoping to be recruited into the Ghana Immigration Service. Now, the long queue started from the morning of today. According to some of the applicants who spoke to Asaase News and anonymity, they had joined the queue this dawn and were waiting to gain access to the premises for their screening. The head of public relations of the Immigration Service, Superintendent Michael Amwakwata, has been speaking to Asaase News on the development.
The online application by the applicants, those who were selected received text messages directing them to screening centers that they chose on the day of applying to join the service. And we have these screening centers scattered across all the 16 regions. It's not only Accra and it's not only Elwak. For Greater Accra alone, we have Elwak where we are now, and also the University of Ghana Stadium. All the other regions also have their screening centers. Just that it's unfortunate in the morning when they came, the gates were not opened. So you find them all outside. Now you can see that they are all being brought inside in an orderly manner so that degree holders will be at one place, HND, diploma, WASI also be at the other place for smooth screening. So that is about all. Now if you go outside, you didn't find anybody.
Superintendent Amwakwata also indicated that the screening enables the Immigration Service to make physical checks to verify the information provided by the applicants on their online portals.
The most important thing is that I want to be sure, because it's online, I want to be sure that the grades they entered onto the system are the same grades that they have on their certificates. You see, because you are alone with your either your phone or your laptop or whatever. So you can put anything that you want. But this is the time for us to do physical check to ensure that what you have entered into the system is what you have on your documents. Accra will in fact, we've opened up between Monday to Thursday for the screening. Somebody may say, oh, had a problem with network, so it just came and all that. So we make enough room to contain anybody who will come with such an excuse so that we can cater for all those who were selected.
And that was head of public relations at the Ghana Immigration Service, Superintendent Michael Amwakwata. Meanwhile, thousands have also gathered at Fire Academy in Jamestown for the screening.
Let's move to Medina because the youth there are protesting against bad roads in their community. I've been joined on the phone line by my colleague Nelisa Fox. Nelisa, what exactly are the concerns of the residents?
Hello?
Hello, Nelisa. I'm asking the concerns of the residents.
Sorry?
Nelisa, can you hear me?
Yes, please, I can hear you.
So I'm asking, what are the concerns of the residents? What are they complaining about?
Yes, so I'm at Ayi Mensa at the moment, a suburb under Lanfantunan Assembly. But then they embarked on the demonstration because of their bad roads here.
And what are the demonstrators saying?
They said MPs have been here for 8 years now, but then they've not seen anything at the moment. So they want to embark on this demonstration to show how serious they are with it.
After demonstration,
Skuna say, but I Ebuafa, Skunu. Yeah, who Kaba Kukra, who can be great, I am I. school num so to an kolantimin ko school this on kolanya be fie so to e ho yiri ased river water ada money ben yen kaka na fo wana edu election ta maba dada ye yen jimi ye wonyansa yen yiri ne mambe aba no mo ble ye ko marketa obedu wana wasara do medina ada.
Listen, what we are doing, we are not doing for ourselves, okay? Not doing it for ourselves, but for the future and the betterness of the country. You get me? We all will go better. But when you are not facing our road, look at the road. You can just take a look at the road. As a hand, you can take a good look at the road. But the road, we are suffering. Do you know we are suffering? Suffering. That's cool. That's cool. When it rains, please say this message. Say the message to them. Let them know that we are suffering. That's all I have to say. And this is our need.
So you had some protesters there, but Nelisa, did you speak to any authority who was present at the area within the demonstrators?
Yes, immediately after the demonstration, I spoke to the chief, who also took part with the youth, and then he explained why they are embarking on, mainly because of their roads, which are not being fixed for them after being promised for years now, and how it is affecting their activities. They can't go to school because of the bad roads, and they can't even go to the nearest hospital because of the bad roads, and it is really affecting them. So they.
The young infono. Yeah, about your say oh yeah we 3 classroom. Nti ofa kunga keke be go classroom num na kwara num timi ko abana fi ye. E hu say aban no o dada ye. Be ye hu say akufo do aban otiso no. This say why you say asana obe hu say oh ya pass baby how. Ntina say oh ne pa de ye njai mu. Say ya sorry ntiano. Be say since I have face date no de ye njai mu. Nti ochira say ye hu contract anonima ebeko so aye da bia.
And from Medina, let's go to Kotobabi, where residents there have welcomed the Greater Accra Regional Council's latest initiative to keep the city clean. That's the Operation Clean Your Frontage. Now, the exercise, which was launched last Friday, is to enforce sanitation regulations and keep the city clean with punishments, including communal labor. We'll shortly hear from the residents of Kotobabi, but first, here's Regional Minister Henry Quartey giving details of the bylaws enacted to empower the various assemblies to hold people accountable.
So this bylaw that has been passed and gazetted was done together with our friends on the other side. Now come other stakeholders, GPRTU, Protea, name them. Guta, Queen Mothers Association, we invited all of them to the discussions and deliberations to pass the bylaw. And I can say that by the grace of God, all the 29 assemblies have passed the bylaw and has been gazetted. But it's not an omnibus type of bylaw. It's applicable to each assembly. What we are saying is not new to what used to be in existence. But now we are saying that the assemblies will be clothed with the power to hold people who do not keep their frontage and environment or immediate environment clean.
Greater Accra Regional Minister Henry Quartey, Asaase News reporter Clankson Champon visited some parts of Accra, including Kotobabi, and reports.
I'm currently at Yalboy, a popular street in Kotobabi. The sanitation here is so poor. There are choked gutters on my left and on my right. The refuse dump leaks unkept. I'm here to find out the residents' view on the government's new initiative, which is Operation Clean Your Frontage, and how well educated they are on it.
It is the Abani and Miss Opportunity, and it didn't do this. Omamun crying. No matter what you say, and yes, no beyond no be any fear, who saw the positive. If you know the catchers, you got a mean a couple or ban or cheering. No, dear Quasa, you got them feeling I bet you mean and you see the baby. What
he was saying that she's in full support of the government's new initiative of the Operation Clean Your Frontage, and she feels that it's good because most people do not practice good hygiene in Accra. So she's in full support, and she's very thankful to the government for coming up with this new initiative.
Yes, then I am from Omelo Lokanima, one of Futroso boy. As I knew, so come too much, it did be a you got an Japan show. The patron went up a so by a mouth, but your person Henry by a mile, my dad.
And so that was a resident from Kotobabi ending that report by Clankson. Then they are calling on the government to support them in tidying up their areas, even as they welcome the Operation Clean Your Frontage. Still on these developments, the Regional Coordinating Council is also having a program on this matter, and Neo Kanta Ankra joins us live from the event. So, Neo, what can you report from where you are? Hello, Neo. Okay, we seem to have lost Nee on the line, but we will get him back shortly.
Take you to other stories. The Municipal Chief Executive for Ketu South Municipality, Maxwell Kofi Lugudo, says the Aflao chief never gave the government an ultimatum to finish the E-Block project in his community. His comment comes after the president was asked about Togbi Ajonugaga Amenya Fiti the fifth fourth-month ultimatum to the government to complete the abandoned E-Block project in his community. Mr. Kofuado told the chief to go complete it if he felt frustrated about it. But speaking on the Asaase breakfast show, Mr. Lugudo asked Ghanaians to stop politicizing the matter.
I want to let everybody know, especially people from Kepisa, that we are not going to sit down to be used as a propaganda tool again. Because what is going on there, the chief, according to him, he never mentioned that he is giving an ultimatum to the government. He told me, he called me personally, that he was rather appealing. Because when the people from Parliament came to him, he asked them that the building is almost completed. And he thinks the chiefs are coming to remove things from it. He's asking them if they could go and tell the Minister of Education that he's pleading that he should let the children go to school. But I think the whole thing was turned upside down to the extent that the people are playing political game with it.
He said the facility will be completed as soon as possible.
I can't give any timeline, but trust me, I'm doing everything possible. As I'm talking to you now, I'm in Accra. I want to find out whoever what the ministries is in charge that will help us complete that. Yeah. Actually, I will do everything to help people of Ketu. Education is part. Already, I asked my coordinator to see how we can meet with the chiefs, because we can't do any development without the chief. So I'm doing everything possible to meet the chiefs at now. We are in this orientation call for the MMT throughout the week. But I'm able to book appointments from next week to meet all the chiefs to see how we can put up everything possible to help the municipality.
Maxwell Kofi Lugudo is the Municipal Chief Executive for Ketu South.
You're still listening to the 12 o'clock report now. Stories to come. State of emergency declared in Sudan as military dissolves government amidst report of Prime Minister being kidnapped. We are still on course in developing a national guide towards a concerted development goal by 2057. That's according to the National Development Planning Commission that says it will be the first time successive governments will be guided by a long-term plan towards achieving a specific national development goal, no matter which political party is in power. In an ensuing interview with Nanadra Hagan, the Director General of the National Development Planning Commission, Kojo Esiem Mensah Brampa, explains that manifestos of political parties will be received in line with the country's development plan.
At the time will be 100 years, which is 2057. What are our goals? What are the broad things that we want to pursue? In 2018, the document was done, and President Akufo-Addo received it and subjected it to a review to be able to include some of these new thinking on Ghana Beyond Aid, and also some of the programs which are looking at our whole industrial development, agriculture development. Eventually, we have a long-term perspective for the first time since independence, which is looking at a whole stretch at a time that will be 100 years. And therefore, in the governments developing their vision, as they are elected, they are guided by this long-term perspective. The first part of the long-term program, which is the first 8 years, is looking at how we can prepare ourselves for a takeoff.
going forward, how do we tie in the manifestos of political parties into all of these plans?
The National Development Planning Commission plans for the country, but we take into consideration the thinking of the government, and that is the government's manifesto. Do what we call in planning, we call it a political technical dialogue. So your manifesto then is subjected to this dialogue, which is technical. So we have a discussion and say, okay, this one can be done in 4 years. This one cannot be done. This one has to go through this phase. This one cannot be financed for now. So we do all these choices. And from this dialogue, we develop what we call the medium-term development framework. And it is sent to Parliament for approval. It becomes a national document for all of us. So we have one, the long-term perspective. The second is a coordinated program, which is required of every president by 36.5. Then we move to the National Development Planning Framework, which is the harmonized process, which also identifies the responsibility of each ministry in this process.
Well, let's move on to a special report for today. Dhamma Festival is celebrated by the chiefs and people of the Northern, Savannah, Northeast and the Upper West regions. The festival is celebrated to mark the birth and naming ceremony of Prophet Muhammad. In the special report, our Northern regional correspondent takes us through this year's Dhamma Festival.
The Dhamma Festival is celebrated under 3 major themes: Somodamba, Nadamba, and Bielkusi. The overall theme for this year's Dhamma Festival is Together We Can Build a Better Dagbon. The festival provides an opportunity for Dagombers who reside outside Dagbon to travel home to meet with their families and socialize. During the festival, the people of Dagbon observe prayer and fasting. They also display on horseback, shooting of muskets, and display war dance amidst drumming and dancing. As a way of ensuring interregional unity, about 50-member delegation from Nzma traditional area has graced this year's Dhamma Festival. The delegation was led by the Queen Mother of Nzma land, Nana Awude II. She thanked the chiefs and people of Dagbon for extending an invitation to them.
We are going to tell our people from Nzma the kind of hospitality you people are. Our people are so loving. In fact, this friendship is going to save your life. And we hope you also come and visit and honor and celebrate with us our Kundu Festival, so that this friendship will stay on forever and ever and ever.
The majority leader and MP for Tamale South, Haruna Idrisu, also led some members of parliament to the event. Some residents called for peace in Dagbon for speedy development.
For the past 16, 17 years, we're battling with violence and whatever, until the two funerals of the overlords were performed, where we get a pregnant Yana for the kingdom. And so we are consolidating the peace currently as a state. Every country can have within and beyond have to contribute to make sure that the peace is consolidated, to make sure that we have a permanent peace in Dagbon. Dagbon forms part of Ghana, and so if Dagbon is not peaceful, Ghana will never stand. And so it is the duty of myself, it is the duty of you to make sure that you add up. If it is your wise, if it is the money you have in your pocket or whatever, let's add it to how we are doing so that we can consolidate the peace and then together Ghana can remain peaceable.
President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo could not grace this year's Dhamma Festival because the climax coincided with the final funeral rites of the mother of Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Reporting for Asaase News, Baba Kamel.
On that festive note, let's find out what else happening on the African continent, and we'll go to Sudan, where the head of the Sovereign Council, Gen Abdel Fattah Abdurrahman, has dissolved the council and the cabinet and declared a state of emergency across the whole country. He made the announcement in a live televised address. Now, all members of the Sovereign Council overseeing the transition to democratic rule have been relieved from their positions. He also dissolved all state governments and removed the governors from the positions. My colleague Tina Moses-Sam joins us in studio with more details on what we know so far on this coup in Sudan. So, Tina, what do we know more about this?
So, Karen, under Hamdok and the Transitional Council, Sudan has slowly emerged from years of international exile status in which it existed under al-Bashir. And then the country was removed from the United States supporter of terror list in 2020, opening the door for badly needed international loans and investment. There have been previous military coups in Sudan since it gained its independence from Britain and then Egypt in 1956. Then al-Bashir came into power in 1989 military coup that removed the country's last elected government. So aside the kidnap of the Prime Minister, we also know that the Prime Minister and at least 4 ministers are among those believed detained by unidentified soldiers. Then heavily armed soldiers have been deployed in the capital Khartoum amid angry protests, the burning ties in the streets. Internet have also been shut in the capital. And then there are reports that military forces have stormed the radio station and television headquarters, arresting some employees. So far, the U.S. says it's deeply alarmed by the reports of the military coup.
Thank you very much, Tina Moses. Now, the regional bloc has also condemned the coup. Now, the East African body, the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, has condemned the coup in Sudan, saying it was a setback to the country's transition to civil rule. The body said it was alarmed by developments in the country and called for restraint.
To more stories on the African continent, the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court is set to seek authorization from the pre-trial chamber of the court to open an investigation into cases of abduction of school children in several parts of northern Nigeria. Also to be investigated are the closure of schools and the persistent failure of Nigerian authorities at both the federal and state levels to end the abduction. This is according to a statement on Sunday by Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project SIRAB. According to the agency's deputy director, Kola Wole Oluwadare, the ICC prosecutor's decision followed a petition sent to the court by SIRAB. SIRAB had in the petition dated September 4, 2021, urged the ICC prosecutor Karim Khan to push for those suspected to be responsible and complicit in the commission of these serious crimes to be invited and tried by the ICC.
Now, a UN Security Council delegation is in Mali to meet politicians, members of civil society and military leaders at a time when there are fears that the officers who carried out a coup in August want to delay a return to civilian rule. The West African Regional Group, ECOWAS, is insisting that the transitional president, Colonel Assimi Goïta, hands over power after elections next February. Now, the Western delegation, which includes the ambassadors to the UN from Kenya, France, Niger and the US, is also assessing the security situation. Mali has seen frequent jihadist attacks as well as inter-ethnic violence in the north and center of the country. And finally, the Ethiopian government says the military has launched airstrikes on rebel positions in the north and west of the Tigray region, expanding the range of its aerial bombardments. Now, previous airstrikes over the last week had all been in regional capital Mekele, but these ones hit Adwa and Maitebri. The government said they targeted Tigray's People's Liberation Front's facilities, but a number of civilians are reported to have died. The TPLF spokesperson said no military targets had been hit and suggested missiles had struck buildings already destroyed by Ethiopian and Eritrean forces. With all phone communications cut off in Tigray, it will be hard to verify the outcome of the airstrikes, especially as they are in fairly remote areas. It's now time for business, and Emmanuel Abwajiriafi has all the latest. Emmanuel, what's trending today? I'm sure the fuel price increment is going to be top on the agenda.
Yes, it is trending, and some driver unions are still threatening that they would pass on the increase in fuel prices to lorry fares, and as much as 30%. That's outrageous.
We'll all suffer.
Asaase Business. Asaase Business. Asaase Business. Asaase Business.
Many thanks for your attention on Asaase Business News. My name is Emmanuel Abwajiriafi. Now, the National Entrepreneurship and Innovative Program has re-emphasized the need for the youth to venture into entrepreneurship to help drive the nation's industrialization agenda. The Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, recently at the 13th Congregation of the University of Professional Studies, Accra, charged graduating students to create their own businesses to support government's efforts at employing more people into the public sector. Speaking on Candid Voice on Asaase Radio, Director of Communications at the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, Joseph Opon-Brinya said as government puts in place measures to secure jobs for the youth, it is also important for these graduates to properly draft their plans during and after school to succeed.
Our system, since the days of Nkrumah, is set up to make you fail. And for you to succeed, it depends on you yourself. What you want to do, how you want to do it. And we shouldn't look at everybody who want to go to school and come out to work at the government sector. That's the problem we have now. We are producing a lot of graduates every year. And looking at the number of graduates coming out every year, our population is also growing. That is where we need to encourage our people that yes, government is doing whatever it can to ensure that people get work to do. But the numbers are huge. What will you do for you yourself after school? Are you going into entrepreneurship? Are you going into business? Are you going into government sector, private sector? You should know what you want to do. Then you train yourself to that direction. But we don't just finish school and come out, we are looking for jobs. If you understand the system very well, you look at avenues where you can go to for support, especially when you want to be an entrepreneur. People normally think that somebody should give you money for you to do this, or you should get money from somewhere to do this. We don't actually train ourselves well that when I'm even giving the money, how am I going to use the money? So they are right. You need to conscientize yourself and know what you want to do for yourself before you leave school.
You heard Joseph Osei Opon-Brinya. He is the Director of Communications at the National Entrepreneurship and Innovative Program, NEIP. Now, government is projecting an increased revenue in the tourism industry by close of the year as it prepares to roll out a number of programs and activities to boost the industry. The tourism sector was one of the leading sources of revenue generation for government, but was hard hit by the global COVID-19 pandemic. Outlining steps taken by the government to revamp the sector, the Minister for Tourism, Mohamed Salah, said the prospects look good.
By the middle of next month, we'll have disbursed 55 million cedis to support the recovery of tourism sector players. As of today, we disbursed about 30 million to support players in tourism arts and cultural space as grants to help them to come back, employ people, and expand their business. The last quarter of this year is very exciting for the tourism sector. We're expecting about 150,000 foreign arrivals between now and December, mostly from America, Nigeria, UK, Germany, China. That's why we have to put a lot of protocols together with the task force for COVID-19. Last quarter is going to be very, very, very effective and very, very exciting in Ghana. What my colleague didn't mention also, we won't have 100th centenary celebration of Biafra. It's 100 years since he died, and we won't have a good celebration in national children. So we're expecting a rise in tourism. As of now, we've achieved about 70% of our target for this year. Tourism has rebounded. Last year was very appalling because of COVID, but we are going to double our figure that we have for 2020 and 2021. Ghana is getting more tourist arrivals than any other country west of us today. And we think it's a policy that the government put in place. When the COVID came, the president took drastic measures. Closure, as we all know, there were a lot of closures and a lot of restrictions put in place. So we are ready because this sector has the potential to employ a lot of people. Our domestic tourism drive, as we said, we're targeting 1 million over the next 1 year. So we launched domestic tourism in June. By June next year, we'll have 1 million domestic tourists within the country. And we expect to get 600,000 tourism arrivals by close of.
Mohamed Salah is the Minister for Tourism. Now, Ghanaian products still do not find adequate space on America's markets. This is despite the introduction of the African Growth and Opportunities Act, AGWA, an American trade initiative in 2000, and a U.S. initiative to allow products from sub-Saharan countries to access American markets. Unfortunately, the narrative is that Ghana, as well as other African markets, have not maximized their trade potential and taken advantage of the creative trade ideals of AGWA. This is the main reason why a new African trade expansion program is being pursued to enhance the utilization of AGWA. The program, which is developed under the auspices of the World Trade Center Miami, US, and implemented by CITD Miami, is expected to offer technical assistance and market access to American markets. Sally Topi, is the Africa rep of CITD Miami.
Are you producing sizes that a small or medium or large person in an American market would take? So as to food, do you know what an American customer or client would want to put on their shelves? How do they want that represented in the market? Are you labeling your product, giving them vivid details in terms of what exactly your product or the content of your products are? I think these are some of the very important things we have overlooked. We are doing very well so far, learning how to package, learning how to resize, learning how to put all these very vital trademarks into consideration, but there is still more to do. Since the figures haven't changed, it means there's still so much room more for improvement. That would be the reason why we would need these programs to help us accelerate us. Since we've not really done well with AGWA would be ending and running up in the next 4 or 5 years. What else can we do to salvage our situation?
Sally Tope is the Africa rep of CIDT Miami. Let's turn our attention to the petroleum sector now, where the Chief Executive Officer of Goldman Sachs Group Incorporated says it would not abruptly stop working with fossil fuels companies, stressing the need for a balanced transition to green energy that avoids higher energy prices. In an interview with Bloomberg TV, Goldman Sachs' David Solomon said while the bank wants to be in business with people that are investing in their transition, it will continue to do business with fossil fuel companies as part of that process. In May 2021, the International Energy Association, IEA, recommended an immediate halt to new oil, gas and coal projects as part of a roadmap for achieving carbon neutrality by 2050. This has been heavily criticized by some international stakeholders. David Solomon is rather calling for balanced, good public policy with the short-term implications.
Well, I think it's important that governments around the world partner with the private sector to try to get capital directed toward innovation in a way that we can accelerate the climate transition. And I want to emphasize it's clearly a transition. We need thoughtful policy. In my opinion, we need to put a price on carbon. And I think this is something that's very important. There's an enormous premium for certain green technologies. We can invest in technology that can collapse that premium and allow us to deliver a much more sustainable future. But this is something that's going to take some time, and I think it requires both good public policy from our governments and then active involvement from the private sector. We're trying to do our part. I think we've made a big pledge towards $750 billion of sustainable financing, investment, advisory services. We're working toward that. And we try to spend a lot of time with our clients thinking about how we can support them in their individual transitions. And so this is getting a lot of attention, as you would expect. I think there's a real, we heard very, very clearly from the Prime Minister, a real sense of trying to spur on in this economy here an opportunity to create less regulatory structure and therefore more incentives to spur more of that investment. And there's a great center of excellence and investment here, certainly around the vaccines. There was a bunch that happened here in the UK. This is a global issue, and particularly in the developing world, we in the developed parts of the world are going to have to, help to bring the world along and get capital focused on technologies that can move this transition over time.
David Solomon is CEO of Goldman Sachs Group Incorporated. In a related development, the petroleum consultant Dr. Yusuf Suleimana has lauded the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation's move to acquire more stakes to increase the country's share of upstream petroleum blocks. According to him, the move by the GNPC will help acquire more assets to help position the country to rake in more revenue. He spoke to Asaase Business.
GNPC in particular, the relentless effort by GNPC to acquire assets within the upstream, in other words, to increase our stake in terms of our participation within the upstream, I think by all intent and purpose is a commendable move, a laudable initiative. If you look at our current percentages that we have, 13, 15 and 20% for Jubilee 10 and then ENI fields with 5% each of royalties in each of these fields, that is not so good. It is nothing to write home about. Yet if you look at the quantum of revenue that we are getting from these meager shares, if we're estimating about $800 million plus with just these shares that we have. And so just imagine if we're able to increase our shares within the portfolio, I think we stand a lot more better to gain. So there are a lot of advantages. One advantage is it's better you sacrifice now to increase your shares, your percentages and your participatory rights within the upstream, because the returns will also be in that amount of quantum that we invest in. There is pain in it. Maybe you may need to take some resources and then inject into your upstream, and that is required. So one reason is that it will put us in a better position to be able to have a lot more returns. Instead of saying having 800 million, we could have 2 billion, 3 billion more returns back to our portfolio. And that's an excellent move. Acquiring asset at this time, I think is an excellent move. The only caveat for me that I think we should look at is to make sure that we have value for money. As long as we have value for money, number one, and as long as those resources are two-piece, that is, they're probably improving reserves, I think it's a way to go, and I think it's a commendable move.
Dr. Yusuf Suleimana is a petroleum consultant. Now to the downstream, the Concerned Drivers Association is threatening to increase transport fares by 30% if hikes in fuel price increases persist. According to the association, fuel products have gone up twice over the past weeks, and this continues to be a disincentive to their business. Speaking to Asaase Business, the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the association, Niashi, said the increase in prices of fuel over the period is having a negative effect on members' profitability.
This year, government has increased petrol about 14 times. And normally, we have a discussion with him earlier that any time that they increase petrol, we too have to increase our fares in the sense that formerly, how much are we buying the fuel? And today, as we speak, how much is the fuel? Fuel is about 31 cedis. So much if we don't increase our fares, we drivers, what are we going to do? And we have elected executives whereby they have to speak for us. But yes, sir, when they increase fuel, we haven't heard anything from them. So we have decided that we are giving the government ultimatum from today up to Wednesday. If they don't come out to say something to us, then we have to increase our fares by 30%. That's all. That's all. So when situation fails, what must be applied? We are waiting for executives to come out to say that when did they increase the fuel, please? Since last week. And we are expecting them to come out to increase the fares for us so that we can able to also get some money to cater for our children.
Ni Ashi is the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the Concerned Drivers Association. Let's get to Nigeria now. The federal government of that country is to begin training of over 1,000 persons on POS businesses. Talent QL launches Alt School Africa. Let's join Ruth Akumi for the details.
Welcome to Business News from Nigeria. Talent QL has announced the launch of its new initiative, Alt School Africa, a program where individuals starting from secondary school graduates looking to build a career in tech can earn a top-rated diploma in software engineering within a year. Alt School Africa is structured around a comprehensive curriculum designed to impact the knowledge required to gain employment as a qualified software engineer without the rigor of a traditional 4 years undergraduate degree program. Students can also take advantage of the flexible study schedule to complete all the modules while attending to their existing profession and personal commitment. Designed to be beginner-friendly for students, the program is open to candidates with no prior knowledge or experience in software engineering. Speaking at the launch of the Alt School Africa, the founder of Talent QL, Mr. Dewale Yusuf, stated that they are excited to be introducing the Alt School Africa to the continent. He explained the mission at Talent QL.
Now the most important thing is how can a lot of people put food on their table? How can we change issue with that? And the best way to do it is to skill up people. So our goal is to skill up Africans for the future world. Now we live in the world where anywhere you are in the world, you can still work for amazing companies throughout the world.
And that was Ruth Akumi's report. Now, time to get to the capital market. Beta Tubiga is on the phone lines now. Beta, good afternoon. Now, currently, Benzo Oil Palm Plantation on the Ghana Stock Exchange is said to be the second highest returning equity in yields. Can you tell us about this?
Okay, Ima, Benzo Oil Palm Plantation from June 2021 has seen a very good surge. And we've seen the equity add 53.93% in the last 4 weeks, 83.3% in the last 3 months. And as we speak, it has returned 120% to investors as its year-to-date gain. And that's the second best on the market. It began the year at 2 Ghana cedis and is currently priced at 4 Ghana cedis 40 per share. Now, one may say that investors are very sure that the equity is poised to do more on the market and they are expecting further gains. Now, one of the things that we can also look at is Benzo Plantation's half-year results, which was very strong and very positive. If you look at, and the director actually indicated that what actually resulted or what brought about the strong fundamentals they had was the recovery of world market crude palm oil prices. It began early 2020, and they were also able to put certain measures in place, especially with regards to the production costs. They were able to keep it in line with the plan that they had. So this has actually influenced the company's financials, where they were able to record a growth of 63%, and then they were able to record a growth of 289%, comparing it to previous year. Okay. And this has actually more or less influenced investors to go into the equity on the market, because when oil prices continue to surge on the market, then it is in favor of Benzo oil palm plantation. And then we know that the equity is poised for further gains.
Right. Thank you very much for that update. Bertha Atubiga is our market analyst. That's it for Asaase Business News at midday, and it's now time for sports. Victor Atu Tamaklo is here. Phobia 6-1. I know your team. Are you a Phobian anyway?
Wow, quite the day.
But in recent times, this is one of the heaviest call lines that I've ever seen.
It is the worst.
Africa, in Ghana, anyway.
Yes. It is the worst they've suffered in their history, both home and abroad. So yes, you're right.
Take it up.
Right, now let's get into it and start with the Ghana Football Association. And today they're holding a one-day training session on the Competitions Management System program for Premier League clubs. The training program is being conducted to grant IT managers of the 18 Premier League clubs access to the back end to be able to enable them load names of their team selection in the system on match days. Each club is expected to nominate 2 representatives for the training ahead of the commencement of the new season. Clubs are also to ensure that the team selection of 20 players on each match day are to be loaded in the system in at least 2 hours before kickoff on match days. Well, speaking of competitions, last weekend saw the end of the inaugural Division 1 League Super Cup, which basically was a competition for the top teams in the Division 1 League from last season. And the Boase-based Sky FC, they beat Tema Youth by 7-6 on penalties to lift the maiden edition of the trophy. The two teams came into the game with loads of confidence, having overpowered their respective opponents in the semis, and that tenacity and quality was on display. However, after 120 minutes of football, the game ended 1-1, setting the stage for extra time, and it was Sky FC who won 7-6 on penalties. Head coach of the team is Abdul Malik Jr., and he speaks about the relevance of the trophy to the team.
We came here purposely. One is our preparation for the upcoming Division 1 League season, and then again, to make sure we win this trophy. Thank God we are able to do it. I said it, I think, in one of the interviews I granted. You see, winning this trophy is going to unite the people of the Basi. Previously, we were having this issue of some of the supporters trying to go against the team. But I was told, right back home at the Boise, they've mounted a giant screen. Almost everybody in the Boise is watching this game. So we believe winning this trophy will unite us more. And the support base will be massive for our...
Meanwhile, the defeated Enoch Jordan, who is the head coach of Tema Youth, was graceful even in defeat.
I will acknowledge each and every player on the field of play. They did their best. Football is win, lose, draw or lose. That's it. We had our chances to score, but we blew by our chances. You could see Osei having a double scoring to appear. He refused to deny. He denied the pass. So it's very painful, but it's football. What some of the players were doing for the team, it's a plus to them, and it's a plus for the team. We have errors, but we go back home, we'll see it to do what? To draft it properly and work on it towards the next subsequent games ahead of us. That's
Enoch Jordan is the head coach of Tema Youth. Now, let's get back to the Ghana Premier League, because earlier it was announced that the competition had adopted the 5 substitution rule for the upcoming season after an agreement with the 18 Premier League clubs. It follows the decision of FIFA's lawmakers, that's IFAB, the International Football Association Board, the option of increasing substitute to protect player welfare and a congested fixture schedule in response to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic to complete the previous season. A number of leagues across the globe adopted the rule when football returned in the past season, allowing teams to use 5 substitutes instead of the standard 3. And Ghana will now follow in the footsteps of other leagues like the Premier League, the Spanish La Liga, and others. Now, speaking of the Premier League, last night it was Mohamed Salah who made history, becoming the greatest goal scorer in the history of the competition from Africa, helping himself to a hat-trick of goals as Liverpool spanked Manchester United for 5. Well, he got a hat-trick with the other goals coming from Naby Keita and Diego Jota as Liverpool won that game. Here's Mohamed Salah speaking about his personal ambition and that of Liverpool in general.
To be fair, as much as the team keep winning, I'm more than happy. So I'm always trying to give assist. First one I could go alone, but I give it to Naby. So I think I'm trying always to give my best for the team to win, which is the most important thing. I think we won the Premier League 2 years ago. We know how it takes. So it's still one game. Of course, we win away. You win away against Man United. It's something really big, but still, in the end of the day, it's 3 points. So we need to focus on our games in the cup. Then we focus in the Premier League next game. Beginning of the season, we try to win each game. We just play for the title because the team like Liverpool, players like that, a manager like that. So we need to play for everything. So. To win everything. So from the beginning, it doesn't matter if now like the beginning over or not. It's just from our head from the beginning, from the preseason. The manager talked to us. We need to win the game, which is to win the Premier League, which is hopefully we go for that.
So that's the record-breaking Mohamed Salah speaking. The 107 goals he has now in the Premier League, and that's your sports.
Thank you very much, Victor Achu Tamaklo. It's now time for Social Space.
So in social space today, you know, the whole talk about COVID-19 is going down. A lot of people are getting vaccinated. The infection rate is going down. So all the talk about COVID-19 is going down. But a celebrity has actually announced on Instagram that he has contracted COVID.
Ghana? Is it Ghana?
No, not Ghana.
Okay.
Someone outside. He has a very sweet voice. So guess who? Why are you dancing? Why are you dancing? Guess who? You tell me. Okay, so that's Ed Sheeran. He tested positive for COVID-19, but he says he has some planned interviews and some performances. So as we all say, he will be working from home, doing the planned interviews from home and with the help of Zoom and other technological devices. I'm sure it will be very easy for him to do that, and also some performances as well, and let's see how that will go. But
I wish him well.
Yeah,
he's one of my favorite songwriters. Okay.
So that's with him. And in Ghana, Shatawale and Medical are still trending, and some celebrities have also joined the call for the IGP to release him. I don't know how that.
I saw the hashtag over the weekend. Release free Shatawale and then release Shatawale.
Yes. So Bridget Otu, Keche, Joshua, and then others, they've actually joined the calls for these two people to be released. We know that they have been remanded and pending some court issues as well. So these celebrities are calling for Shatawale and Medical to be released, but I'm sure the law knows what it's doing, so it will take its course.
Because they are linking it to Namwan's case as well. They don't see why Namwan is at home and Shatta is in prison. So let's see how it goes.
Two different cases. Anyway. Well, the comparison goes on.
So that's it for Social Space. And that will be all for the 12 o'clock report. A recap of our headlines. Criminal High Court 2 in Accra gives green light to Attorney General to file witness statements and other disclosures necessary in the Saglemi Affordable Housing Project case involving the Republic versus former Ministers of State and others.
Also, Health Services Workers Union declares nationwide strike effective Tuesday over poor working conditions.
Many thanks for your time. My name is Karen Doduwenchi.
Mine is Jema Apia.
You can join the news team at 5 p.m. for the big bulletin or visit asaaseradio.com for more.